Hey guys, so today's video is going to be on none other than bobbers. We're going to go over the different kinds of bobbers and the correct way to put them on your line. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to keep it pretty simple today. We're just going to talk about your common spring bobbers and your round bobbers. So for the first part of putting your bobber on the line, you have two choices with your line. You can either tie a hook directly onto your line, or they have these pre-tied that you can purchase, in which case you'll need to attach one of these clasps to your fishing line, these swivel clasps. And these are nice because you can switch out your hooks a lot easier versus having to cut and retie every time, unless you have a pole dedicated just for bobber fishing. So that is your choice. The next thing you're going to need is one of these weights, because that is what helps keep the hook down in the water and thus keeps the bobber that's going to want to naturally kind of sit like this in the water. With that weight, it's going to bring it up. And with the water level right here, it's going to cover up all that bottom paint, and it depends what colors on the bobber that you have, but it's going to leave just the top paint showing with that weight to keep it straight. Now, when the bobber is in the water, like I mentioned, that top paint's all it's going to be showing until you get a bite, and then it's going to show that bottom colors to indicate that there is action for you to respond to. Same thing with the round bobbers. Split paint colors from top and bottom, so when it's in the water you're only going to see that one half, and then as you get a reaction or bite you're going to see that color pop out of the water, and that's when you're going to react to it. So we're going to take our example line here and show you how to attach your bobber. For the first one, we'll just attach just a normal spring bobber here. And you simply pull this down, which exposes, let that focus there, this L shape carved into the stem there. And you're going to take that L shape and wrap the line into it, like so, and then let go of the spring and kind of just give it a good push up. That is how your line is going to be attached to the bobber, and then when you throw it out, it's kind of going to be upside down until you throw it out there. And when you throw it out there in the water, that's when it's all going to settle and it'll pull itself down and then float using that weight like I told you. So when you put your line through it only one time, basically just resting in that hook, and push this up, you can move it pretty easy up and down. It's not quite a slip float because it's still got that resistance, but it is easier to move up and down. If you want to lock it in better, you can always give it an extra wrap around into that slot and then close the clasp again, and then it's got a lot more resistance. It's not going to move as much. So next we're going to show you the round bobber. Again, one of the more common bobbers. And for the most part, the mistake that people make with this is just hooking it from the one side. They'll either hook it from the top, like that, and then they'll leave it dangling like this, throw it in the water, and it will pull it down, and you'll think you have it right, but actually the correct way to do this is to loop it through both ends. So both ends will have a hook here. When you depress this, there will be a hook that comes out. And that hook is on both sides. So you're going to need to thread the line through both sides of these for it to be correct. So the correct way to tie this would be, being that your hook is the bottom of the line, again, instead of just leaving just the top, you're going to continue to follow through and you're going to press on the bottom and get that last bottom hook, and then it will go back into its seat. The little holes there, the hook will sit back into its seat, and then you'll have something that looks like this, wrapped from the side down to the bottom hook and then back into line. And then it's the same as always. You just loosen your spring, or in this case the top bobber here, and then from there you can adjust how much line you want to have below the hook. The more line you have below the hook, then the more depth the hook is going to go. So again, if you are fishing in the shallows, you're going to want to raise, or lower rather, that bobber down so that where the bobber is at is where it's going to stop on the water, and then the rest is the hook dangling. So from the bobber to the hook, you've got about a foot here. That's how much is going to go down into the water. So like I mentioned, when you have it set properly, it'll float in the water even with the paint, and then when you get a bite or nibble, you're going to notice it flip over and expose the other paint, in this case the green side, and that's when you're going to want to give it that tug to try to hook set your bite. And for example, if you just attach it by just the one hook, it's going to sit in the water wrong. It's going to sit outside. You're not going to be able to get that good sensitivity of knowing there's a bite on it. Same thing in reverse. If someone were to put it on by mistake on the bottom hook and not attach it, this is upside down in this case, but people, if they don't understand how to attach the bobber, might do this. They throw it in the water, and again, it's not sitting correctly. It may still bob and indicate, but it's not as easy for that eye to catch, and it's not going to have the same sensitivity as it would with it hooked properly. So again, the bobbers come in all shapes, colors, sizes. You're going to want to pick both a weight that matches something heavy enough with the bobber to keep it level in the water, along with a bobber of the appropriate size. Size can depend on what's going on in the water, what type of bobber, as well as what's going on in the water. If it's a more windy day, you might want, a little bit larger of a bobber. If it's a perfect calm flat day, you can probably get away with more of these thin pencil type spring bobbers. Again, it doesn't matter what paint colors you like, whatever is easiest on your eye to catch. I know these bright neon colors are great for in the water. But yes, bobber fishing is a great way to start in the fishing world. It's cheap. All you'll need is a moderately priced fishing pole of any type, a bobber, which these go for, you can find them for 50 cents, sometimes even cheaper. Some weights, like I mentioned, and in this case, these clasps and these pre-tied hooks are very cheap. You could probably get out fishing for, depending on if you have the fishing pole already, just getting set up for bobber fishing is going to be under 10 bucks between the bobber, the weights. Even after buying some bait, you're out on the water and you're catching some bluegill or whatever's in your area. And if you're interested, then obviously you can even catch them, keep them, and cook them. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate if you smash the thumbs up button. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite type of bobbers are, and if you had any questions,